what you want, open invitation. I'm a human being infused with creative vibration, utilizing melodies and visual stimulation. Beats and stories get the glory, you get the relation. I get impatient like a doctor racing. Bullets coming from my soul, my body just a casing.
Ho, ho, recording time. What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Paralyzed Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Brian Alvarez. And today I'm just going to make this episode all about my injury and kind of like what it entails in my life and how it's affected my life, in the time that I've been injured. So I'm just going to jump right in and start kind of like from the beginning of after I got to the hospital. So I went to Valley Presbyterian Hospital in the Valley, and it's kind of crazy. They specialize in like maternity, so like they're most known for delivering babies. But I got there all shut up like, oh yeah. So when they got me in, like the last thing I remember is like they got me to the hospital, and then once I was in the hospital, I was like, okay, I'm straight. Like I could pass out, cause I like you get kind of like tired. I guess because I was like losing blood from everywhere. Like you kind of just really literally get sleepy. Like I didn't have any like pain. Um, it's crazy. I was actually talking to a friend, and I was telling her like through the whole time of the fight and everything and getting shot, like I never like really showed emotion, like aside from what I told my sister. I wasn't like sad or thinking about it or crying or like breathing all crazy. I was just like chill, and I think that helped me a lot, because if I would have start like like hyperventilating or something, because my lung was getting filled with my blood. Yeah, because the bullet, so it came in through my back, hit my spinal cord, went through my lung, and then circled my heart. So I still have like it's kind of like split in two. So one piece went around, and the other piece kind of like got lodged in my spinal cord. So they gave me to the hospital, and they gave me on a gurney. That's the last thing I remember. It was like the movies, like they laid me down, and they took me down a hallway, and the last thing I saw was like just lights flashing over me, like it was like just like a movie, and then I just knocked out. Oh. So I think the first thing they did is like they took me into like the MRI room to see, and X-rays and all that. But I was out. So next thing I remember is like I'm waking up and I still can't feel. And it's actually kind of funny. Like I'm waking up, and the doctor's in the room, and then one of my cousins is in the room, and then he asked the doctor, so he's not gonna be able to have sex anymore? And then the doctor was like, nope. And that's what I woke up to. I was like, what the fuck? Like, well, I guess because they had told him already that I wasn't gonna be able to feel, that I was paralyzed, like. So whatever, I wake up, and the doctor kind of like comes in, he's like, can you wiggle your big toe? And I was like, well, no. And then he was just like, well, you're never gonna walk again. You're paralyzed. And then they told me like I had a T3, T4 injury. And then I was just kind of stuck in the hospital for a month. Like, I was really naive about it. So I was just like, oh, I mean, I'll be fine, like just give me some time. Like, I'll be fine. So I didn't really know it was that serious. Like, obviously I was paralyzed and I couldn't move. So I was in ICU for like a few days. And then one of my ICU nurses, he was a really cool guy. So he took care of me in the ICU, and then he would visit me once I got transferred to my own room. And that was kind of cool. I was going to be there for a while, so they gave me my own room. And yeah, I was just stuck in the hospital for a month. I had like tubes in my side to drain the blood that was going into my lung. So yeah, I was stuck in this hospital for a month, and then the first few days, I would say week, I was like getting morphine whenever I wanted. So I was like, oh. It's just like, man, it's just like, it's like this crazy, like, you get this warmth in your body and then you just relax. Like, if heroin is anything like that, man, like, I understand why people can get so addicted to it. Cause, like, I mean, I kind of was like hooked on it. I was just like, give me some more, give me some more. Like, I was like, Mark, Mark, Mark. And I wasn't even in pain. Like, I couldn't feel. Like my whole body was paralyzed, so I literally couldn't feel anything. So like anywhere where I guess where I could have felt pain, like I couldn't feel that part of my body. So I was never in pain. I was just like, fuck it, this is nice. This is nice. Hit me twice, son. So I was in there for a month, and then my nurse, he would go visit me, and then he actually, I got to know him a little bit, and then he told me his story. Like, he had gotten shot, and then he didn't get paralyzed, but he kind of changed his life after that, and because of like the nurses in the hospital, he kind of decided that he wanted to be a nurse, that he wanted to help people out. So that's what he did, and then he did tell me as well that like 5 to 10 minutes more, and I was gone because I was like bleeding from everywhere. Mainly, blood was going into my lungs, so I would have started choking on my own blood, and I actually did at one point start choking on my own blood. So I had been in my own room for maybe like a day or two, and then they were doing like X-rays on me to see how my lungs were doing with the tubes in my body. And then I had a Foley catheter basically, so I had like a like on I didn't have to worry about peeing. And then I was basically shitting myself that whole time, the whole month I was there. They like I didn't get any information on like bowel, nothing. I was just like whenever it was coming out, it was coming out. And yeah, that's all bad. Like now looking back, it's like that probably started backing up my whole digestive system from the hospital time, just from not using the restroom every single day. Because yeah, I don't think I was going every single day. So that sucked, man. And then like just imagine like just random people have to fucking change you and wipe your ass and all that. And then it was like at sometimes they had like students coming in, man. At one point, that they were about to fucking, clean me up because I had a duty on myself. And then like a whole damn class of like fucking like 5 to 7 like students came in. Like they didn't even ask me, yo. They just came in and they were like kind of explaining my situation of that I got shot and I couldn't feel, so I was duty myself involuntarily. So they were kind of just like, they were shit. I think they might even got involved. Like, you want to get in the dookie? You want to clean some of this doo doo? And that was all bad. And but I can't remember ever being sad because I didn't really realize that, all right, like damn, I'm gonna be paralyzed for the rest of my life unless they find a cure for this thing. I still didn't know for sure yet. I was still like naive. I was still like, I'll get better. You know, just give some time. But yeah, I was in there, and like my nurses actually really liked me because I was just chill. Like I wasn't a problem. I think I cried one time when I was in there, and that was like I had been in my room a few days, and my sister was like in the room with me visiting, and then visiting hours ended at around 8, so they were like kicking them out basically, and for whatever reason I just didn't want them to leave, and I just started crying. But that I can remember, I think that might have been the only time that I really like was like sad in the hospital. I was like cracking jokes with the nurses and just being who I was, like I've always just try to like be the neutral and just make people laugh, and kind of like not make people uncomfortable. So I even in the situation that I was in, I was trying to make other people like feel comfortable around me. Um, but yeah, like I woke up to like a bunch of my exes in the ICU as well. That's probably the product of my sisters calling every single person they know, like, my brother got shot. we don't know if he gonna make it. Sorry about it, like, but yeah, so I was in my own room, right, and then I had these tubes in me, and it's like super uncomfortable when you have like these fucking tubes in your body. So I at one point they ended up taking them out, and they took them out too early, so they took an X-ray to make sure that they hadn't taken them out too early. But I guess they didn't check that X-ray the whole day. They ended up checking it sometime the next morning, but by that time blood had already started going into my lung. So my dad and one of my younger sisters, Jenny, is walking into the room, and I start choking, like literally start choking, like I couldn't get breaths correctly. And I was just like, I didn't exactly know what it was, so I literally started choking, like, and then I couldn't tell anybody. So that, like, my dad was like, "What's wrong, son? What's wrong? What's wrong?" And I couldn't fucking tell him that I was choking. I mean, aside from obviously me like gasping for air. And what had happened was that blood had started going into my lung again. So they put like an oxygen mask in me, like, so I started sucking in air, and that helped a little bit. And then they ended up just like, I guess, checking the X-ray, and they saw that my lung wasn't just healing right. So they ended up taking me to like emergency surgery. And the most pain I felt from from getting shot from the whole time in the hospital was when they were about to take me into surgery. They put this big ass IV in your arm, and like they strap your arm down because they know it hurts. And then they put this big ass thing on you, and that hurt the most out of anything in the whole time I was in the hospital. So yeah, they ended up cutting me up. I have like I have like the slice on my back. I'll show you guys. It looks like a goddamn train tracks because I had staples after. But yeah, they opened me up, and I guess they cut out a piece of my lung, the affected part, and then I don't know. I guess sewed up the rest, and yeah. But yeah, I had two. I ended up having four tubes, so I have like holes on my. I have holes on my side right here. But yeah, that was like an awful experience. And then I was basically stuck in the hospital for a month. Didn't shower for a month. It was just like those sponge showers, you know. And yeah, I just kind of like had people visiting, like friends and family, on and off for a month. And then I got transferred to Rancho Los Amigos. That's like one of the best rehab hospitals in the country, luckily. It's in Downey. So I got transferred there, and that's when I started learning about different things, like that I was gonna have to start like catheterizing. And that is like you get a there's different type of catheters, and you basically have to like stick it in yourself to pee. So yeah, when they tell you, son, you're gonna have to be sticking this in you, I was like, what? I mean, just visualizing it, like sticking something inside your urethra. It's like, damn, son. Oh no. It's like every guy's worst nightmares, like, anything that has to do with your schlong, I don't want to know. That's why guys always get super sick and go to the hospital all late, because we're like, I don't want to know. No. It's gonna be our downfall. So yeah, once I got to Rancho, they gave me this big booklet on what a spinal cord injury is, and like everything basically that comes with a spinal cord injury. And once I started reading that and understanding that, that's when it hit me like, damn, like, oh, this is serious. This is like forever, And I remember one of my you get like a therapist. You get like a physical therapist and an occupational therapist. So like the physical therapist starts helping you getting your body, like into some, or kind of like so you can understand your body and get stronger, because you're all weak. You're like a little baby, like, oh. And then your physical therapy does stuff with your body, and your occupational therapist shows you how to like brush your teeth, and like how to set goals on like how to do certain things. So they ask you, like, what do you do? What do you want to, accomplish while you're here? And I was like, walk. Obviously, obviously, like, I want to go back. And then you're like doing like random weight stuff, and then like doing stuff with your body, getting your balance right. So with the spinal cord injury, depending on your level of injury, it affects certain things. So like my level is a T3, T4. The bullet hit me at an angle, so it's kind of funny. I can feel one nipple and then I can't feel the other. So it's literally like at an angle. And then it affects my balance, so I can't use none of the muscles on my back, all the my lower um like diaphragm, core muscles. I can't use any of that, so my balance is all messed up. So if I like lean too far forward without holding myself, like I would just fall forward because I can't hold myself up. Like I'll just bloop, flop over. And then the higher up your injury, the less balance you have. So it's like you have, for sure, for me, it's like I have balance issues. So it affects me even like with my photography. Like I can't hold the camera a certain way because like my balance will be off. So it's like there's a lot of things that come with the spinal cord injury that you just won't know unless you know somebody that has it, or you're reading up on it like a medical student. um but there's a bunch of little things that come with it, and I would say that those are a lot harder to deal with than just the whole not being able to walk. That's kind of like the easiest part about dealing with this injury, because you don't have a choice. It's like, it's just like you can't do it, so you kind of like move on real fast from that. And then it's all like a lot of the mental aspects of the injury that I think is what breaks people down. And like the routine of things, like me, like if I'm you know drinking water correctly and doing everything, like I'm having to like stick this tube in my body like 5 6 times a day, if not more, every single day. And it's like it just dealing with that gets so tiring. A lot of the mental aspects of the injury are what can really like break you down. Like it just takes you away from who you are. Aside from, like I always say, like 80% of me died that day. Like I had to like relearn all and learn how to be a whole new person with the injury. And that's just crazy. Like literally the person that I was, a lot of the things that made me who I am were like I was playing sports and working and always being like relationships and like you know and I went from that to, I mean, I still had a relationship throughout my injury. um that was crazy. Like, man, looking back on that, it's just like I was going through a serious relationship and trying to learn how to live life after my injury, and it's just crazy to think about. So I remember my occupational therapist comes in my room, Jennifer Weaver. She comes in my room and I'm just like, man, I'm fucked, huh? And she didn't say anything. She just looked, kind of gave me a look like, it's serious, bro. Like it's serious. But for the most part, I was just kind of like, man, I can beat this. Like it's not gonna get me down. Um, it's funny. I hadn't shaved in long. I was over here looking like Osama bin Laden, little brother, and people would make fun of me. And at the at the at the therapy session, they'll be like, "Damn, here comes Osama, bro." I was like super fuzzy, man. Like that was like when I realized that I probably could grow a beard, and I had grown a beard one time before, and it was kind of cool. Like I don't know, kind of like sometimes make me want to bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. So at Rancho, you kind of like learn about the whole. Well, you start learning about everything about your bio program, how you're gonna have to like, like what they tell most people to do is like you use like a suppository, like these things you stick in your butt, boop, and it kind of like irritates the like your little nerves in there, and then it kind of like produces like a bowel movement, and you start using the restroom. But man, you that takes like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, that whole process. Uh, Man, it's like, yo, so not me. I was like, I'm just gonna get up in there. And yeah, I never had to really use anything. I just kind of like cleared it out myself. That shit sound crazy, but it's one of those things that comes with dealing with this injury, man. Like, one of the things that you're gonna have to know is like, it sucks, but it's just a part of dealing. Is there's gonna be some pissing and shitting yourself, and it's just like one of those things that's come. Cause think about it, like you can't feel like you get certain signs, certain times. I'll explain that a little more in depth a little bit, but it's like, imagine when sometimes when you're able bodied and you get some diarrhea, chorrito. Like sometimes you barely make it to the toilet when you can feel. So imagine you can't feel. It's like, man. And it sucks, man. Like no matter how many times it happens, it just always sucks because it's like your mind is like, you're a grown ass man. You're not supposed to be shitting and pissing yourself, son. And it's just like it's just like one of those, it's just one of the kind of like soul killing things that man, it just sucks. I talked to this doctor that did a study, like a blood study from like 30 years ago of people that gotten injured. And then so they talked to a lot of people with injuries. And one of the crazy things that they found out was that like the people that best adapted to their injury were like ex gang members that kind of were like, I guess in the back of their mind, maybe they knew like, being a gang member and living that gangster life comes with like, you might die, shit might happen to you. So they were the ones that best adapted to, adjusting to the injury. But for me, it was like, God damn, I was like, I love sports, man. Like now looking back now, like I had been dealing with depression throughout most of my teen years, and I didn't know I was dealing with it because I had outlets. I had like different outlets that I would use, sports being one of them. Like I would always look for a basketball game when I could, or my little fight club days of boxing with the guys from Yuhan and playing. We would like try to get football games, but like football games are a little bit harder to get, like in a park setting if you don't know a bunch of people. But yeah, I had outlets, and a lot of those outlets were taken away with my injury. Obviously, I could still play sports with the wheelchair sports, but I just, for whatever reason, never got into any one thing. Like I never really got super into one thing or another. Getting back to my time at Rancho, so I started kind of learning things about my body and how things were gonna be. But it was still like a big learning curve. I feel like, man, it's like the adjustments that come with it are like crazy, and it's like they don't even start happening until you're out of rehab, and after you have people trying to help you, and doing things for you. At least if you're a para, you know, I think, if you're a quad, when you have higher up, depending on how high up your injuries, like some of them need like care throughout because they use like ventilators and all that, and they literally can't move their hands at all. So some people need like almost like 24/7 care. But I feel like you're never truly prepared even after rehab and everything. It's just like, I remember the first year I was in like the emergency room all the time with like urinary tract infections from dealing with like, having to cath and not knowing how my body worked right, and dealing with like, you know, how my body was working now. That whole process was just like literally a process that you have to kind of adjust to over years, man. It just like takes time to adjust. I mean, I feel like you never really adjust. I still, to this day, man, I still want to go running. Like sometimes I tell people like, just from dealing with everything with like nerve pain, like especially right now that it's been cold. My body's been hurting, like hurting. Like, man, I just want to jump up and run out of my body. Like, give me a break, give me a week off from this, and then I'll be cool again. But man, it gets crazy. Like, oh. But hey, you gotta look at it as like it could be worse, you know. Like my injury could be higher. I could have died. How many millions of people have been shot and killed, you know? And I still get to be here, and it's not the same, but I get to be here, see my family, interact with people, you know. I could do podcasts and um, create art and, you know, just be around. Even though, you know, I have bad days and all that, I still always try to look at the positive of things. But I know for sure my ex-wife Kim helped me a lot through the first years of my injury. Like, I think it would have been a lot harder on me if I didn't have her around, for sure. Like, she was like a huge, like, I mean, I don't want to say distraction, but it is almost like, yeah, she kind of like distracted me from a lot of like the pain and a lot of like the feelings that I was feeling. You know, I kind of like just threw them into her, and I really just became really close with her. You know, I like trusted her in every way that you could trust somebody. I trusted her, you know, and I had never been like that with anybody because um growing up, like, there was like a lot of things happening. So at some point in my life, I was like, okay, I decided to shut down and kind of not let people hurt me because it's just like we didn't have much as far as like getting stuff from like my family, my parents. You know, like we had kind of like the almost like not the almost like the bare minimum, but a little more than bare minimum. You know, so we didn't have anything extra, so I got used to not getting much for like birthdays or not getting having parties, any of that. Like, I can't remember any big huge party or something like when I was a little older. But so I kind of was just like, okay, I'm just gonna like cover up, you know, and not let this stuff hurt me. But it kind of ended up hurting me in the end because I shut down so much that it's like I didn't have feelings for people at all now. So it's like now I'm learning um how to have feelings, you know, how to let myself have like, you know, emotions for people and stuff like that. Those first few years definitely like made me be like, man, like I can't trust somebody in a lot of ways, you know, and let myself be vulnerable, even though I still had a lot of learning to do. Like, I was so like broken in so many different ways, like in literal ways and like, you know, like with my body and just like mentally. I was just in a place where I I was just like lost. Like, I was just like letting time go and just dealing with whatever came up as it came up. I wasn't trying to like improve myself in any way. I wasn't trying to like learn anything new. I was just like, I'm gonna wait it out and see if there's some cure in the next few years. And didn't try to like do anything the first few years really. I was just kind of like, man, maybe a miracle will happen and I'll suddenly start walking someday. And that was almost literally the mindset. Like, it's like crazy. It's funny how I would go to the ER the first few years so much that they started knowing me. Like, some of the nurses would be like, "What's wrong with your pecker now?" Like, that's literally like a joke that one of the nurses that I kind of got cool with like made to me one time. Cause yeah, and then other things crazy like in random injuries have happened to me. Like one time I used to have a laptop, and you know they come with like the chargers. So at one time I was on my bed with my laptop, and I guess I had left the charger right by my leg, and I guess it was there for a while, but because I can't feel, it was just right by my leg, literally cooking my leg. The first time I realized that I had hurt myself was when I was showering and I was about to like, you know, clean my leg, and I noticed this big, huge pus ball, and I was like, "What the hell?" And then I kind of realized, like, damn, I must have burnt myself, and it was bad. Like, I'll show you the scar. It was bad, but I have like a square on my leg. The battery of the of the HP laptop. It's crazy. And then like I had other random injuries where like I don't know how or what happened with my bowels. I don't know if I like transferred and just landed on my bowels wrong or something, but I ended up hurting my balls and they just got like swollen. Like I had like baseball balls. So I had to go to the hospital and they did like x-rays, but they couldn't. I had like a little piece of something and they couldn't figure out what it is. So they had to open me up. Oh, no anesthesia. I was like seeing everything. I was like, damn. So I saw the whole nine. He like split my sack open, and I guess it ended up just being like a little cyst, um, nothing major, But they ended up taking it out. And then they don't just like sew you back up. And then the doctor actually, when he ended up cutting my urethra. The little tube where your pee comes out of. So um I had to like basically close the injury, so they gave me like some bottles of gauze, and I would have to like stuff it in with gauze as it got smaller and smaller. But then because he nicked my urethra, like sometimes our bladders are weird. Like sometimes you will leak out a little bit, and then that will like leak out through my injury. So I ended up having to get like surgery for that. They had to like basically like put a little tube in my urethra to like repair it. Um, so that happened, and then I've burnt myself a few times and not felt it. Like I have a few random little scars from burning myself from my injury, but it's a total adjustment. Throughout my life, I always had like women's attention. As like a kid, people were like, girls were always like, "Oh, you're cute." Like throughout my life, I would always have attention from people. And then after my injury, it's just like it just goes away. Like literally, it's like night and day. It's like I went from like always having attention from women. I mean, obviously, I had a girlfriend and wife for a long time, but even then, I would notice like when I would go out, people just didn't see me the same. It was like I was invisible almost. And that was like a crazy adjustment, going from like sometimes being like the center of attention to like no attention, like you're invisible. That was its own thing, and I had to deal with that much later, like because I was in a relationship throughout my injury. I didn't have to like really deal with having to like talk to new people and try to talk to new women and all that. That was like a whole nother adjustment that came after my relationship ended. I would say that I I was comfortable and like had adjusted complete not adjusted completely, because I feel like I still haven't adjusted completely through to my injury. Like obviously there's still parts of me that's just like but as far as like cope being able to cope with it and knowing what to do in most situations, like I would say like in the like 3-4 year mark, you kind of like know basically what's gonna happen. And I mean, depending on your level of injury, I'm sure you have different emergency, and you'll have falls. I already lost count how many times I've I've fallen from my chair, and how many times people have knocked me down, or yeah, I've eaten it going in and out of my house. I already lost count. And it's always funny because like, especially if other people see me fall, it's almost like like in their perspective, I think it's almost like they're seeing me have like a heart attack or like some craziness like that. Whereas to me, I see it as like I tripped. Like when you're able bodied and you can walk and you just fall randomly. I see the same thing. I ate it. Like I just had to be careful of like trying to catch my head from not hitting the cement or like wherever I fall. Cause yeah, like I've hit myself pretty hard a few times just falling back. In fact, I think the last time I shed a tear was one of the times that I fell because I get spasms, like like your legs tighten up and then they'll kick. Bam! So I was just in my room on my phone doing something on my phone, and I get this huge spasm and it just sends me flying backwards. So I fall back. I have like a it's not real hardwood, but like I have like this kind of like hardwood fake thing going. So it's like hard. It's not like tile, but it is kind of hard. So threw me back. I hit my head on the floor, and then from the momentum of me falling, my knee came and I kneed myself right in my nose. So it like triggered my sinuses. So I was literally like crying like with tears, and it was just like that and just like frustration all built up, from just like, oh, like why do I have to deal with this, And I just like even stayed on the ground for a little bit, just like, ugh, like, and then I just got up, dusted myself off, and just moved on. But yeah, I shed a little tear on that one just from the frustration of it all. It's funny because when people see me, right, or they see my posts and my photography, it's like I've seen like how people might look at you because of your social media. Like I've had people be like, "You're always out, you're always out on the streets doing your thing, and you're doing things and blah blah." And then I'll be like, I'll go out like 2 times a month, 3 times a month. I mean it's different obviously now because of the pandemic and everything. So, but yeah, like I don't know. It's always funny how people perceive you because of what you post on social media. I'm rambling. What am I talking about? No. One of the things also at the beginning that helped me out was like once I got my car, like once I was able to drive, that was like a big like boost for me. I don't drive as often now because my car is super breaking down and crappy, but I just love to drive. And when I got my car, it was just like freedom. Like it was so cool. I remember like I used to drive stick, so I had to sell the car that I had. I had a little Honda Civic hatchback, and so I basically was able to start driving within like 10 minutes. I just like we got some my dad got me some hand controls from eBay. I just threw them on the car and then just like went, and I just went. Like I didn't even know my license was suspended. I found out my license was suspended one time after I got pulled over, and the cop told me that my license was suspended because I guess after a major injury like I sustained, the doctors have to inform, like the DMV or whatever. Like things have changed. So yeah, I was just driving around with a suspended license for like over a year without not even knowing. But yeah, once I got my car, that was like a big boost to help me out overall. And like I was saying, like the relationship that I had at the time really helped me out. Like I was just like so in love that it was like canceling out a lot of the things that I was feeling because of my injury. So, and that just helped me so much. It was just like, even though I was like a shitty partner, and a lot of the reasons that why my relationship broke down were just directly related to things that I in one way did or didn't do. So man, like I don't know how she put up with my ass for so long, but it really helped out. So th- thanks, Miss Kim. Like I feel like a lot of people that are on social media that are wheelchair users don't really share like the parts when they're like down and things are hard. And for me it's like to this day I still have bad days. Like I still have days where I'm just like, oh, like it's so I wake up and like I can't even get out of bed. I'm so just down and depressed and feeling like I don't want to do this anymore. And you just need a rest. You just need to um I've learned over time that it's a lot of it is like mental, and it's all just how you see things and how you decide to deal with things that are happening or not happening, and just moving forward from bad decisions and things that have happened in the past. You just kind of have to like learn to get past those things, and move forward, and just try to be better as you progress. Like, you're not your past. Like, we're learning. Life is a learning experience. Like, what I know now at 35 compared to 21, it's like night and day. I'm a whole different person. And I know a lot of the ways that I've changed are directly related to my injury. And I know that I probably wouldn't be exactly the person that I am if I hadn't sustained my injury. Like, I probably would have continued to do a lot of the dumb shit that I was doing. But eventually I would have adjusted it. It would have probably taken me longer. I know for sure. Like, I am the person that I am now because of a lot of the things that I had to deal with because of my injury. A lot of like the way that I think, a lot of the ways that I see the world and my views on the world have changed drastically, after my injury. And I know that I wouldn't be the person that I am if I hadn't sustained my injury. I'm not saying that I was a bad person overall, or that I wouldn't be a good person without my injury, but I know that a lot of the ways that I think and a lot of the ways that I view the world are directly related to dealing with all the issues that have come up because of my injury. I just wish I had those lessons without the injury. But it does get easier for anyone. If anyone is watching with an injury, it does get easier as you learn how to deal with it, and you learn how to adjust to things, a lot faster as you progress in your injury. Like, I'm a lot. I think it's 13 years in, and it's like sometimes I'm still like, how am I dealing with this? And then sometimes I look back and I'm like, man, it's been 13 years. I've been dealing with this for 13 years, and I'm still fighting, trying to get better, trying to just improve as a person, educate myself as much as I can. I've been reading a lot. I've been waking up, trying to go to my balcony and get some sun and just get 20, 30 pages in a book. And that, I feel like that's been helping me a lot, especially some of the books that I've been reading have been kind of like helping me get through things. And um, I have a big thing with procrastination and not working on the things that I need to work on. And I've been trying to read books to help me get better at dealing with that. And I feel like I have been adjusting and have been working, trying to stay on a schedule with the podcast, trying to give you guys one or two a week if I can. So hopefully I'm living up to that. You guys keep me accountable, yo. Keep me accountable in the comments. Tell me like, yo, what's up with the podcast, son? What's up with the next guest? So I need to get on it with my guests and start making a lot more guest ones. Cause I don't know, I feel like these solo ones for now it's cool because I want you guys to get to know me better and tell you guys some of like the stories and the things that have happened to me that have made me the person that I am. But overall, I kind of just want to have like a partner that I can bob and weave with, and like just throw stuff off and interact with, because I feel like it makes this show a better. And yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoy. My next guest is Mr. Sadfish. He's like a street artist, homie that is getting back into the art scene. And I just had a little conversation with him about how he got into doing what he's into and some of the stuff that came with that and some of the stuff that he's had to deal with. So can't wait to have you guys check that one out. But yeah, I'll start bringing in more guests and hopefully have less of these solo ones. I already told Pops, you're going to have to jump into this podcast because I already talked about you. He was like, I don't know, like we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So I'm gonna have to force him to jump in on these. I'll probably kind of have him come in and kind of like tell his story from the beginning, because I feel like we've never had really like in-depth discussions with him. I mean, now as I've gotten older, I've had a bunch of discussions and talks about stuff that has happened in our lives and in his life. But I kind of like want to get like a full story of like, growing up and what his childhood was like, and like siblings. And because I feel like as I've looked back on my life and as I reflect on things, like I've started to notice like, okay, this thing made me like this, or like I'm like this because of I saw this and that. So I've started to really understand things better. And I feel like when you understand like where your parents come from, and like some of the things they went through, and like how their your grandparents were with them, like how they grew up and the life they had, I feel like what they go through is like what some of the things that they show you. So if you understand what they went through, and some like if they had hardships and you start understanding those, you can start answering like, so that's why this happened. Or you get me, if that makes sense. I feel like I've been seeing things in a different way, and I want to kind of like get the full story on, you know, how he got to where he is or whatnot. Getting back to my injury, I feel like people lie when they're like, the people that are injured and they're like, oh, I wouldn't change a thing. Like, if I had an option, I wouldn't go back to being normal. Like, I call bullshit on that every time. Just because I feel like I've adapted to my circumstance, but I still haven't accepted completely. Like, I don't want to be in this situation. You get me? It's been 13 years and I've dealt with it, but obviously, if I could change it, I would. And I feel like I'm at a point where I'm ready to fulfill like who I am as a person. Like, I feel like for some reason, like I just needed to heal in every single way, like physically, emotionally, mentally. And I feel like I've come to a place where I'm ready to like really like push forward and be who I'm supposed to be. And I've come to learn that like I'm just an entertainer that's been scared to entertain, really. Like, the thought of going on some kind of stage or something is like one of the scariest things that I can think of. And I feel like I'm not scared of anything. And it's crazy because as I've gotten older, I've gotten like more shy, like I've shelled up, and I feel like I need to like get out of that. Like, I can tell you stories of as doing like the most crazy random stuff being younger. Like, I don't give a shit about what people are think might think type stuff, you know. And then I got like, as I got older, and I don't know if it's because of my injury, but like I shelled up, and I feel like I need to come out of that, like come out swinging, son, like, beat up this like this thing that like, man, I'm gonna straight up, I'm gonna start going out to like open mics or something, just putting myself out there for real, you know. Start telling some of these random paralyzed hood stories, or stories of random stuff that's happened to me, like my injury, before my injury, all kind of madness, man. I've had a random ass life, you know. Like, I look back and laugh at some stuff now. I'm surprised I didn't hurt myself before, because I was a wild one, man. Like, we were like jumping off buildings and doing backflips and front flips off stuff type wild, you know. I feel like when it comes to my injury, more than anything, it's like mental. I feel like everybody is going through something, whether it be like you lose somebody, like some tragedy, like everybody goes through stuff, and it's all about how you deal with it, you know. And some people just might take a little while, some people might take a long time, and all of it is fine. Everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. That's one of the things that I've learned and adjusted to with my injury. So getting into more of like some of the stuff that you some like one of the big obvious one that always people always want to know is like, can you still have sex? You know, and every injury is different, so I can't speak for everybody. But with my injury, I'm a complete injury, so I can't move or feel anything. So I can't feel the Johnson. And what happens with an erection is like guys get like we get like this double one. So it's like you get the like physical one. So if like they touch you and they grab it or anything like that, like you get an erection, right? And then you get the mental one where your brain tells your body like, all right, bro, we about to get it in, so stay up, son, make them babies. So what happens with our injury is like I don't get the signal right, so we get wood, but then like after like a little while it just starts. So I have to take something like Viagra, or you have to take some kind of like like ED medication, so your boy stays. But man, like my experiences with Viagra, it's like, man, it gives you like this hangover ass feeling, man. Like you wake up feeling like they beat your ass. At least that was my experience with it. Like I have this saying, like, man, I never paid for sex until after my injury, because you had to buy them expensive ass $20 Viagra's. Damn. I mean, there's a few other things. There's like injections as well. Like there's like injections you can give yourself. I guess like porn stars use those a lot. They like, and then your boy gets like, rekasa. And then you could just have your girl like wild out and tire herself out. But yeah, it's like you can't feel like I can't nut. Like I haven't nutted it. I mean, there's ways, but I don't have any experience with it. Like I just wasn't in, like I wasn't just like I'm gonna try to go until I bust a nut. It just nah. Just meh, meh. You learn to adjust and deal with it, and you learn how to use every part of your body when it comes to this sexual shit. Like it's weird. Like guys have this mentality of like I gotta pound a pussy, or else it's not sex. And then like there's all kind of other things you can do. But that's definitely an adjustment. Like going from a lot of it is mental, man. It's a mental game. One of the things that one of the things that come with my level of injury is something called autonomic dysreflexia. And I think it's if you're a T6 and above, you get autonomic dysreflexia. And what it is, I think what I've read is that it's some kind of um like adjustment that your body makes with the flight or fight response for us. So for me, like let's say my bladder is full and I need to like empty it out, I start getting like this little headache in my head. Um so I kind of know when I have to use a bathroom, because I start getting like this little weird feeling. And what it is like our blood pressure starts either going up or down because our body is feeling something, like whether it's your bladder is full or you hurt yourself, or, um, you mainly, most of the time is those, like you either have to piss, shit, or you hurt yourself in some way. And you start your blood pressure starts going up. The bad thing is that let's say you don't figure out what it is, like it goes, your blood pressure starts going higher and higher and higher, and you start getting like this nasty headache that it just like pounding, and it gets worse and worse if you don't figure out what it is, and it can get to the point where it can give you a stroke or a heart attack if you don't figure out what it is. And that's kind of scary. But luckily, it, like for me, like it lets me know that okay, I probably need to pee. And if you're T7 and below, you don't feel anything, so they're on some kind of like schedule where they have to kind of like go pee every like 4 or 5 hours, or it'll just like come out. Like I said, everybody's different, but that's kind of like what I know when it comes to that. So with autonomic dysreflexia, it can get crazy. Like I had an incident where They have to like do tests on our bladders and our kidneys to make sure that everything is working correctly and there's no like issues, because we have to like cath, and you can get like bacteria in your bladder from outside. So they have to be like doing tests on you, and they do this one test. It's called a urodynamics test, where they basically test your bladder to see what it does when it gets full. So they fill up your bladder with liquid, and they have like a meter that tells them how much liquid is in there. So I guess what happened was, um so the lady put everything inside of me, and then she went to go do something. So like a little bit of time passed, and I guess my bladder, like cause they make you empty out your bladder. So I guess some liquid went into my bladder, and then she started filling up my bladder. So on her graph, she said that I had like a certain level when I had like way more than that. So I started getting this pounding head. It's like the worst pain that I've ever felt in my entire life. Like I couldn't even talk. I could barely talk. I couldn't even think. It's like my blood pressure like skyrocketed, and like it's just because my bladder was just so full of liquid that I was surprised it didn't like. And that was just like literally the worst pain I had ever. She had to like empty out my bladder, and I was just like, get it out, get it out. That was like literally all I could say, because it felt like they were just like dropping a hammer on my head, like, and it lasted for like 20 minutes. They had to like give me like this medication to lower my blood pressure because it just went up so fast, and that was fucking scary, man. Like that's literally the worst pain I've ever felt. Like I've had issues with like feeling those pounding headaches before in other situations, and I'll probably talk about some of those in upcoming episodes, like dealing with nasty ass hangovers and being super dehydrated. Um, yeah, man, that's like I those are not fun. Um, so there's like positive and negatives about having autonomic dysreflexia. But yeah, those are some of the things that I had to deal with coming up with my injury, and I'll get more into depth into more stuff as we, you know, go on this journey, on this podcasting journey. My laptop is super like, I think it's gonna die soon. So as long as it doesn't die on me, I'll try to stay consistent with them, and keep bringing them out and bringing out guests. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And more videos coming out to you guys soon. Yeah, like I was saying, if you guys have any things you want me to talk about specifically, shoot a comment, and I'll try to make an episode talking about that, or talking about a specific situation. I just want to say thank you to all the people that have been in my life, that have like helped me on this wild ass journey. All the people that have like helped out in any way, in any form. If I've never told you guys that, you guys are fucking awesome, and I love you guys for always supporting me, and um, you know, taking the time out of your day to like visit when I was in the hospital at any point, or after my injury. I feel like I don't think I've ever really expressed gratitude to everybody that was there in any way. Just want to say thank everybody. I love all the people that have done things for me and have meant something in my life. You guys are like one of the big reasons that I've been able to deal with like depression and all that, because I don't forget that I have a bunch of people that are in my corner that want to help me and see me succeed. And I just want to say thank you guys for always being there for me, and taking the times in whatever way to help your boy out, especially all my sisters. Um, they've always like done anything they can to help me in whatever way. So I just want to say thank all you guys. Love everybody. Hope you guys have an amazing 2021. Let's get it in. Hope you guys enjoy the episode. Your boy signing out.
Pacing in my studio, just coming up with dapper bars to spit in crucial situations when I play the rapper's part. Heard I got a denim heart and lyricism in my jeans. Cut a track down, leave it bald head like Mr. Clean. Spit it mean, a record fiend. I school you niggas, call me Dean. I'm always speechless, never seen. Stay on the chase for minty green. His logo, how these niggas say they ballin', but they broke though.